Pierce, Texans leading rusher? Can he do it as soon as 2022? We're here to break down all that, and more on the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast, starting right now. What's up, folks? How you doing today? It's Bobby LaMarco here to bring you another episode of the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast. It's Friday, folks. We're chilling and getting those weekend vibes. We're here to bring you a upbeat, great sleeper running back episode today. But before I even do that, I want to introduce my co-host, one of the many men I've been working with over the years, my esteemed colleague, my right-hand man, Sky Gawasko. What's going on, buddy?
Bobo, great to be back. Hey, man, we got to let the people know that we've been working together about 3 years, more or less, on programs and running shows and co-hosting and whatever. We finally had a chance to actually meet each other in the flesh a few weeks ago over Mother's Day weekend. You happen to be in my neck of the woods because your mom's is living up the street here. So great to see you, man. I had a great time. We got to share some suds, watch a ball game, had a real good time, man. But it's really great to be back on the mic, and it is rookie season, NFL draft behind us. Time to look forward to Dynasty and redraft alike.
Yes, it was great. Honestly, for the first time in 2+ years, I got to meet that guy in the flesh. It was an absolute hell of a time. But before we get into who we're going to be talking about today, the Texans rookie running back, Pierce, and his first name's Dameon?
Yes, sir.
Dameon. Okay, got it. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Haven't heard it yet, but anyway. So before we do, I want to make sure everyone's following us across the board at Razzball Fantasy on TikTok. We also have a Facebook page. We also have YouTube, and we also have an Instagram now. But make sure you're going to razzball.com to check out all the latest articles. Not only do we do football, we have baseball, basketball, and hockey content across the board. So make sure you're going to razzball.com to check out it all. But before we move, let's get into this right now. So Sky Gawasko, we're here. But basically, I asked Sky, there's going to be guys that you like their landing spots, and Sky tells me about this kid, Pierce, that landed at the Texans. Believe it was the fourth round for Pierce. Fourth round, pick 107. So Sky, give me the reason why you think this kid has a shot as soon as this year to be a fantasy asset.
Okay, cool. So first thing off the bat here, Bob, pop quiz. Give me 3 Houston Texans running backs not named Dameon Pierce. Go.
Marlon Mack, Rex Burkhead, and who's gonna be Dare Omuguale?
Close enough. Dare Ogunbowale. That's what his parents call him, Dare Ogunbowale. Okay, you did nail it. So congratulations.
Yes.
However, nobody listening to this program interested in fantasy football was like, "Oh man, that's a running back that a new rookie with fresh legs can't overtake." Look, Marlon Mack was a fun story. I believe in the kid. I hope he comes back healthy. I hope he's got a little bit in the tank. I don't think he does. Rex Burkhead, fun for the Patriots because they use running backs like nobody else in the NFL. I don't see him having any juice enough to hold off a fresh running back. And Dare Ogunbowale has been a pass-catching specialist who hasn't really dealt with his opportunity even when given it. Now, David Johnson off the team. All right. You have my boy Royce Freeman off the team, unfortunately. Those guys had 122 carries, 64 carries. Marlon Mack had a couple, and it just is not impressive. Rex Burkhead had a couple. I'm not worried about the Texans' current running backs holding back Dameon Pierce, even though he has low draft capital. Bob, on another show, you and I have talked about rookie draft capital, which we'll have to bring to this program eventually as well. And we know that 4th-round running backs are not impressive for NFL purposes and fantasy purposes, unfortunately. However, this is a perfect scenario for a late-round running back to come into, and he probably will not start. But by week 3, by week 4 with an injury or 2, or even these older running backs who just aren't that great, in my opinion, not able to shoulder the load, Dameon Pierce can make it happen. A little bit of a rookie profile for anybody unfamiliar. So he comes out of Florida, originally committed to Alabama. Okay, so this kid is no snuff. Now, with most running backs in Alabama, he got to Alabama and was like, wait a minute, there's 5 other NFL running backs here. I'm not going to play that much. I'll go to Florida instead and split with the Michael Pirine. Meh. So he had a lot more opportunity in Florida. His numbers don't pop off the page, but I do like his profile in general. 5'10", 225, a good workhorse body type. 4'6", not amazing for a running back, but he's a pounder. 69th speed score, not amazing, but middle of the road. Now, I'm going to give you some Houston Texans stats that'll make you kind of throw open your mouth a little bit, but it has nothing to do with Dameon Pierce. It's more of an argument of how he has no competition coming into this year and could succeed quickly. Houston Texans last year in 2021, 14th in the NFL in rushing play percentage per game. So 42% of the plays for the Houston Texans last year were run plays. That was good for 14th in the NFL. Now, on those run plays, though, Bob, unfortunately for the Texans, dead last in rushing attempts per game at 3.4 rushing per attempt per game. Why? Because they were down by 3 touchdowns every single game, and Davis Mills had no opportunity but to throw it. So if they can get a little bit more aggressive in second year Davis Mills, a better offensive line, a couple more weapons around them, I think they have a nice running back opportunity. Again, I'm not rushing out in dynasty drafts to get Dameon Pierce, but he's a great late round flyer in redraft and in dynasty, and I think this kid could be the starter within the first month of the season. And if he is, I think he can hold his job.
So for what you referenced before about the draft capital, I actually have the 5% hit rate for day 3 running backs. So in our sample that we did last year, basically what I looked at for career half point PPR, 10 points per game, it ended up being about 5% average that throughout their career. So it's not a great hit rate. However, when you start diving into this kid's comparables from Player Profiler, it does give you a lot of optimism. It's Chris Carson, Damian Harris, and Devonta Freeman, believe it or not. And one of those things those 3 guys have in common is they were not fantasy assets as rookies. I mean, Chris Carson, Damian Harris were barely used. Devonta Freeman averaged like 5 points per game. But in year 2, they all emerged as fantasy assets. I mean, Chris Carson stormed onto the scene, and Devonta Freeman was the RB1 in fantasy in his second season. So I like that. Plus, all 3 of those guys were drafted in the 3rd, 5th, and 7th round. So none of them were really high-profile guys. I know Harris was in the 3rd. But the other 2 guys were one of those running backs that actually ended up, kicking the mold and being fantasy relevant. So I do like that from a comparison standpoint. Now, they're going to have to prove the offensive line. Last year, they ranked 29th in PFF's end-of-season rankings, but they did get a guard in the first round of the draft, and both of their starting tackles are coming back from injury. So there is optimism there. However, I personally think that Marlon Mack and Rex Burkhead will probably be the lead backs this year. And there's a little bit of history to kind of go along with this. The reason why I say that is because if you look at Pep Hamilton and his time with the Colts, they tried to use Trent Richardson, but then it ended up being Ahmad Bradshaw, a veteran coming in. He ended up getting the starting job later in the season. And then later they brought in like a 32-year-old Frank Gore. So they leaned on their veterans just a little bit. However, here I'm going to talk about the other side of my mouth. Lovie Smith and Pep Hamilton. Pep Hamilton was the QB coach for the Bears way back in the day. And a nice young man named Matt Forte joined their team as a rookie.
Baller.
And boy, did that boy blow up in the rookie season. So that opens my eyes to the opportunity that I know this coaching staff is willing to take a rookie and say, hey, you earned the job. Go take it. Let's go. So I will be open-minded to that. So that season, Matt Forte got 379 touches. So he used the workhorse. So I do think there is a path for him to potentially take the starting job, but I'm going to watch to see what happens with Marlon Mack, especially during OTAs and mini camps. All right, so let's talk about draft capitals, guy. Currently today, best ball ADP has him going about 123rd overall. Dynasty rookie drafts have him around 14th overall. So he is our early second round pick in rookie drafts, and he's already going and he's creeping up towards that top 100. So are you buying Pierce as a potential top 100 pick and a top 14 rookie pick, or are you going to fade him at those costs?
Well, I hate to cop out a little bit, but with 2 or 3 unimpressive, in my opinion, veterans ahead of him, but guys that are definitely going to get that first knock for sure in the NFL. The 10th round is a little rich for like today in redraft, in my opinion. However, if either of those guys have a hiccup or they just seem a little like they've lost a step or 2, or Dare Ogunbowale is just like maybe he gets cut and just doesn't even make the team. He's bounced around the last couple of years. I think absolutely that's a running back I would like to have, because look, think about the 10th round. When I think about draft capital, I think about my team makeup. Hypothetically, by the 10th round, you could have 4 running backs, 3 or 4 wide receivers, a tight end, and a quarterback. If you're looking for your RB4 at that point, maybe 5, unless you went super wide receiver heavy. So, yeah, I would love to take a rookie. We see rookies like this all the time pop out. The greatest example lately, undrafted free agent Phillip Lindsay, nobody even knew about until about week 3 for the Denver Broncos a few years ago, came on the scene hot. So 10th round's fine. Rookie picks, man, 2nd round, I'm all over that, to be honest with you. I would probably personally rather jump on a couple of these wide receivers because in Dynasty, wide receivers just outlive running backs by years. So when it comes down to it, I'm on the clock. I'm probably picking 1 or 2 of these stud back of the 1st round, early 2nd round wide receivers personally. But if you're in need for a running back, you're set at wide receiver, I do like Dameon Pierce in the 2nd round of a rookie draft.
Yeah, I think it's going to be – the good news is for me, I'm not one of those psychos that drafts in May. And if you're one of our Razzball people that do, good for you. Honestly, I can tell you now, I'd like to get a little information about this. But I know by August and like late July, August, during when I start doing more best ball stuff, I probably will have a better understanding. If this kid is like – if you hear all those reports, oh, he can't pass, bro, he's not going to get on the field, and you hear all those things, redraft-wise, I'll probably stay off of it. But if you start hearing that, hey, he's doing laps around Marlon Mack, he is starting to get on the field with the ones more, I might take that flyer because, listen, I think Davis Mills could take another step. They have great young talent around him with Nico Collins, Brevin Jordan, and, of course, Brandon Cook. So I am actually tentatively saying no, but I could be proven wrong later in the offseason. All right, folks, that's all we got for today. That was our breakdown of Dameon Pierce to the Houston Texans. Make sure you're following the Razzball Fantasy account on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and across the board. And make sure you're going to razzball.com to check out all our latest great content. Once again, I'm your host, Bobby LaMarco. That man over there is Sky Gawasco. And guess what, folks? We're out of here.